did not record. So transpose, pivoting, and unpivoting. Today we are going to start with this one. The transpose is basically enables us to convert your rows into columns and columns into rows, and it rotates your table into 90 degrees. So that it can turn the rows into or convert your rows into columns and your columns into rows also possible with transpose. Whereas pivoting, as the name says, right, in the Excel, the pivoting is one of the common, the common task we perform it as part of data analysis in Excel, right? So pivoting, even in Python, we have something called pandas package, using which also we do some kind of pivoting to basically look at the data in different shapes, same data, but you wanted to rotate the data and see it, right? So in that kind of situation, pivoting, unpivoting, transpose, plays an important role. If you want to rotate an entire table, the columns, right? You want converting your columns to rows and rows into columns, then transpose. But if you wanted to convert the rows into columns only, then you can go for pivoting. Columns to rows, then unpivoting. You want to do both, then go for transpose. Apart from this, we have something called reverse. That also will take a look at it now. So I just loaded the expense file. I just go to the data tab view. It is always good. Take a look at the file which you loaded it. Look here, this is the file that I loaded into my Power BI desktop. And I can see that 3 columns are the year, month, expenses. And we have close to 27 rows are there. If you look at here, we can see the 27 rows. Twenty-seven rows are there. So now what I do is I just click on the home ribbon and then I just click on the transform data. Now I will go to the Power Query data. The Power Query data, I'm going to click on the expenses too. This is the one I loaded recently. And here what I do is I select the transform ribbon. And here you can see these options, the transpose, reverse rows, count rows, and you have something called the pivot column and pivot columns, right? These are the options that are available. To start with, let us start with the pivot one. Pivot is very interesting one, okay? And what I do is I just select pivot. So what is pivoting? Pivoting will convert your rows into columns. I look here, in this case, I selected year. So, it is a column now. This one will get converted as a rows. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to select expenses. Use the names in column year to create new columns. Okay, use the names in columns. Okay, and values column. Okay, year to create new columns. Values here you need to specify the values. The expenses has the values in it. Month also has values in it. But here the advanced options like a sum function, count, average, everything is there. So what basically we want to do is we want to convert the year, the values, the rows, right? The rows in the year, right? You want to convert as a column, like a 2021 column. And here we have 3 years or 2 years data is there, 2 year or 3 year. And 2020 year 2020, 2021, 2022. So these 3 year related columns should get converted as a columns. Okay, currently it is a rows. Okay, for each year we have the data in the rows displayed. Instead, we want to convert in the columns. I just click on OK here. Look here now, in the year column, we have 2020, 2021, 2022, right? So here 3 nines are 27 records were there. But of the 27 records, the 9 records were for 2020, 2021 for 9 records and so on. Okay. It's pretty simple. Now we are able to look at the same data in different, shape. So if you look at this, it gives you a quick idea, right? Instead of looking there, look here. So the source data is, this is the one. you need to scroll down and take a look at it, right? So in this case, the number of records are not much, but the volume of the data is very high, right? In that kind of situation, if you rotate it like this, it will be good. And then especially the number of years in the year column, you will get a single, like this, right? It will be compact. The shape will be a bit compact to gain an insight in a pretty fast manner. So month for each month and each year, what are the sales or expenses? How much expenses we incurred? So this is called your pivoting. What is pivoting? Converting. I just or transform into columns. That is what pivoting. The opposite is unpivot. So the unpivot is whichever columns you want to convert that as rows. You need to select that. So we have an option called unpivot here. So look here, here's an unpivot column. Here we have three options here, unpivot columns. And when you click on the unpivot, by default, the first one will get selected. Look here, I just want to undo this one. And I want to convert the columns into rows. What I do is, the first option, if I select it, it will convert these columns into rows. The original position, right? And the next one, unpivot other columns, unpivot only selected column. There are three different options are there. Let's take a look at this one first. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to convert these three columns into rows. Just simply click on this one. That's all. We got it back the original thing, right? So month one and month value and no, 1 second. I selected month also mistakenly. So you need to hold the control key and select the columns that you needed. Okay. If you want to do multi-select, you need to hold your control key and then click on the columns so that you can select more than one columns. And I just, clicked on it one more time and it got unselected. So now these three columns got selected and I just simply click on unpivot column. Look here, now it looks pretty good, right? So this is month and this is year and the value. You need to rename the column name. This is the year, this is the expenses. So this is unpivot. Converting the columns into rows is called unpivoting. Converting rows into columns is called pivoting. The pivoting is one of the common option. The data analysts, they use pivot option to do the pivoting, right? So the pivoting will give them quick idea about, or it'll make your report more compact. Instead of scrolling down, right? So you can see it here like this. Okay. Fine. The next one is the transpose. Now we explored what is the pivot and unpivot. Yeah, the pivot itself, what we will do is, I just go back here. See, in this case, the year column, look here, in the year column, if you click on this one, you can see only 2020, 2021, 22. Only 3 years data are there in this one. Let's say if you have 10 years data in it, what will happen is when you do pivot, 10 columns will get created. And later on, if you want to do some kind of unpivot, you need to select 10 years by holding the control key, right? Like this. For example, I just unselect this one, and then I need to select these three columns by holding the control key again. 10 years, or let's 20 years, or months. In the case of months, right, you have 2 year months and all right, 24 months. You want to select it, you need to select everything, and then only you can do unpivoting. So what they have given, the other option is unpivot only selected columns. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to select only this column. Okay, and here unpivot only selected columns. No, unpivot other columns. Let us look at this one. Except this column, rest of the columns, you select it and do the unpivot. Instead of manually selecting these three columns, See, look here, this is one shot, you can do it. But instead of selecting the columns one after another, month here and unpivot columns, unpivot other column. Here you have expenses here. One second, please. I have some tender ones. Sorry, I'm back. Okay. So this is one shot you can do it. So this option, as the name is right, unpivot other column. Select, whichever column that you don't want to do unpivoting, you select that one, and then other columns, will get selected automatically when I use the second option. Got it? And the third one is unpivot only selected columns. Okay, and don't, let's say here, unpivoted other columns. Okay. Here, what I'm going to do is, I just select this one, unpivot only selected columns. So in this case, I just want to unpivot only this selected column. Okay. So what is unpivot? Columns into rows. It will convert columns into rows. Sorry, here the remaining columns. And if you see here, okay, here, this is what is happening. Look here, it converted the columns into rows now, the month. So if I don't want this, and I'm going to remove this one, sorry, I mistakenly removed two columns got selected now. So I just select this column. See, each year, January month, we have expenses, right? If you want to see the data like this, you can see it this way. What I will do is I just select this one. I mistakenly select the second option. That's the confusion. Okay. So you just move this one here also. If you see here 2020, month one, how much? The same January month, 2021, 2022. What are the expenses? You can see it this way also. Okay. This is that is what we can do it with unpivot only selected columns. Okay. So now you understood what is pivoting, converting rows into columns. And if you want to convert back the columns into rows, then you can go for unpivot. And we have three options here. Okay, instead of selecting multiple columns, you just select the column which you don't want to do unpivot. And then if you click on this, the rest of the columns will get unpivoted. Or if you are very specific about a specific column, let's say in this case, the month, I want to do unpivot. What happens? The columns got converted as a, the rows here, right? So the rows, something like this. Okay, and the next one is the transpose. What I am going to do is, look here, I just right click on it. I don't want to disturb this. Right click on it, and these are the queries. Look here, this is called queries, right? The same tables, week sales W04 expenses. Once you load any type of file in Power BI Desktop, it will be considered as a table. That is what I said. But when you open a Power Query Editor, all those tables were considered as a queries. Expenses is a query and table is a query. These are the queries. So now what I do is I don't want to disturb this one, and I right click on it. Is there any way if I can duplicate this one? Yes, duplicate is also possible. Reference is also possible. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to get a different view. If I click on duplicate, this entire query will get duplicated. The data will also get duplicated. Instead, what I do is I'm going to reference it. There are two options, duplicate and reference. So it just simply, referencing this. This is the parent one for expenses 3. Okay, and to check that one, right click on it. Okay, not here. We have something called dependencies, query dependencies. We can see that which one is depending on which one also we can see it. Let me just check where the dependencies are there. Query dependencies, even I forgot this. Extract, fill, direct type, unpivot columns. Anyhow, I will show you later. So you just, for this expenses, this is the one parent for, this is the master for this. This is like a father, this is a son. Okay, there's a kind of hierarchy. And here what I do is, I'm going to use transpose. Okay, I just click on the transpose. See, the rows got converted as, sorry, this is my column, right? The column got converted as a rows here. It rotate the table 90 degrees. Simply it rotates it, right? So here you can see the for 2020, and probably if you wanted to move this, you want to make this as column header, you just go to use first row as headers, use first row as headers, you can select this one. The first row will get promoted as a column header. In 2021, in month 1, what is the sales? 2021, the month 1, what is this expenses? Sorry, okay. 2022, in month 1, what is the expenses? It simply rotates your table. And I don't want to do promote this promoted as let it be there. Okay, and again, if I select the transpose, again you can get back. It does the unpivot, pivoting, unpivoting. You can do it by clicking this. More than once, right? First time when you click on it, it will be like rows into columns into rows, and second time columns into rows. Transpose. Instead of doing it separately, pivot and unpivot, you do it, with the help of transpose in one go. Okay. And the next one is the reverse rows. What is reverse rows? As the name suggests, if you want to reverse the order of the rows in a table, it is possible with this one. For example, in this case, 2020, 2022, 2021, right? 9th month. I want all the, 9th month should come first, 8th month, 7th month, right? So those kind of things, if you want to do it, if you want to basically reverse the records, look here, 9th month. For these 3 years, what is the expenses, how much expense we incurred in 9th month, and then 8th month, 7th month, all these things you can see it here. Basically, if your data is something like this, sorry, feeling sleepy. See, something like this. You have something called 1, 2, 3, and you want to reverse it 3, 2, 1, right? If you want to reverse it, you can use the reverse rows. Okay, the transpose, you can, with the help of this one, you can do both pivot and unpivot. But you might be asking this question, then why transpose they've given it when we have pivot and unpivot? But with pivot, right, so you can select a specific column, you can convert the rows and columns. You have lot, or if you just want to only pivot, you can go ahead with this. So now you understood the difference between the pivot, unpivot, transpose, and reverse rows. So these are the things that we do it to gain insight. See, sometimes when you look at the data in a, the specific shape, right, you will not get any insight sometimes. Okay, you want to reshape it and see it. I want to rotate it and see it. So when you rotate and see it, you might tend to get more insights, right? And you will not miss out any insights. That's the whole idea of doing this one. Okay.